Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. How are you guys today?
Waalaikumsalam Nina, hi.
Are you guys ready to talk about Yayasan Ihsan Rakyat that filed defamation suit on the issue of spreading false news?
Yes, Nina.
Great. Without further ado, let me start first. First of all, I want to talk about the fake news. The issue of spreading fake news is not something new in this era of globalization. According to SHU 2020, fake news means the false information that spread deliberately to deceive people. Besides that, according to Zakaria 2019, defamation is a false statement made by a person or parties that damage a person's reputation. Defamation consists of two types, which is slander and libel. According to Zakaria et al. 2019, slander happens when a defamatory statement is made through a temporary period such as oral speech, sign language, or gesture. Meanwhile, libel happens when defamatory statements are written, printed, and involve picture or any format other than words or gesture through a permanent form such as via social media posts, email, article, and press report. In addition, legal intervention is important to curb and prevent cybercrime such as cyber defamation. Among the law used is the Defamation Act 1957 and can be prosecuted under Section 499 and other and of the Penal Code. Offenders can also be sentenced under Section 500 of the Penal Code to a maximum jail terms of 2 years or fine of or both. So far, that's all from me. Let's continue with Atika. Atika, can you explain briefly about the background of the case in detail?
Thank you, Nina. Yes, sure. The case is about Yayasan Ihsan Rakyat that filed a defamation suit on the issue of spreading false news. The complaint or plaintiff is Yayasan Ihsan Rakyat. Meanwhile, the first defendant was also named as the second defendant for the position he held, which was the president and chairman representing the Kuala Lumpur Consumer Safety Association. The case was discussed by the court for 2 days, in which a total of 3 witnesses testified. To prove his case, plaintiff has called 2 witnesses to testify in court. This case is in relation to a defamation suit initiated by the plaintiff against the first defendant, an individual for which he has also been sued for his position as president and chairman representing the Kuala Lumpur Consumer Safety Association as the second defendant. Plaintiff filed his writ and statement of claim on 30 November 2018. As for the claim statement, the plaintiff said the defendant has allegedly made and disseminated a series of defamatory statements against the plaintiff through the Facebook application, which is easily accessible by the public for the purpose of defaming the image, good name, as well as the reputation of the plaintiff. After examining and considering the position of the plaintiff, the submissions of the plaintiffs and defendants' lawyers, the court agrees that the appropriate and adequate compensations awarded to the plaintiff. This means that the defamation suit has been in favor of plaintiff. Hafiz, can you explain what is the specific law that used to overcome the selected cases through court proceedings?
Yes, sure, Adika. For this case, as everyone know, the issue is about spreading false news about Yayasan Ihsan Rakyat, which has been defamed on social media. The court has discussed in detail according to the Defamation Act 1957 that is taken by the plaintiff against the defendants who spread the fake statement that leading to defamatory acts, which is an illegal act in Malaysia. In this case, the accused can be convicted under Defamation Act 1957 according to the section involved to determine the appropriate punishment to be imposed. Furthermore, the dissemination of information can be punished under Defamation Act 1957 if the information is categorized as civil defamation, which is to demean a person in the eyes of a section of society or general public, or cause the person to be ridiculed, insulted and hated, or damage a personal reputation in any position, credibility. Information is also divided into two types, namely slander, which is defamation in the form of speech or broadcasting through the media of auditory or visual communication, and libel, which is defamation in the form of printed materials such as newspaper. So, based on the case report, once the consideration and determination of the decision by court is completed, defendant Yayasan Insan Rakyat. The Defamation Act 1957 provide for the payment of damage with an assessment made by a court based on the principle of law in relation to damage in a clear and well-established defamation tort. However, the consideration of damage must also be appropriate, fair, and adequate by assessing several aspects such as the position of the plaintiff, the seriousness of the defamation, uncertainty in litigation, and so on. In addition, spreading false news also have many negative effects. Ashikin, can you explain about the effect of spreading false news?
Yes, sure, Hafiz. The issue of spreading false news is a common issue in the modern world. This situation will obviously affect not only the individual but also the community and the country, as well as the impact of the act of spreading false news, which also invites defamatory statement. First, the spread of false news will leave a negative impact on society. This is because fake news will cause society to easily make wrong and negative speculation, panic, and blame the slander party based on their own assumption. Second, on individuals. This is because the spread of fake news can affect the dignity and reputation of an individual. Irresponsible people deliberately spread defamation and provide false information because of personal satisfaction and stakeholder satisfaction. In addition, the spread of fake news also has a negative impact on the country. This is because the spread of false news can threaten national security. The effect is to create anti-national sentiments as well as form false and negative perception, also can cause and disrupt the stability and peace of the country. Next, this is able to give an effect to the economic sector of a country. This disadvantage and negative perception can scare the foreign investor and traders to invest in a country. For example, a case that can be taken from Yayasan Insan Rakyat will cause bilateral relation to be affected, which will create a negative perception of the slander company. So, Izzati, can you explain the appropriate of the law used in selected case?
Sure, Shikin. Thank you. Generally, the punishment prescribed for offences in the Defamation Act 1957 is that each offender will be punished with a fine not exceeding 2,000 ringgit or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months of both. However, each sentence is according to the suitability of the case and also the sole discretion of the court. Following this case, the plaintiff has demanded a compensation payment of 5 million ringgit against the defendant as a compensation for the defendant's action, which have spread false news on the Facebook social media account. The defendant is also required to correct the statement made by the defendant. Therefore, this case has been tried into the litigation process where it is at the Court of Appeal as well as the High Court. Based on the examination also or the arguments given by both the defendants and the plaintiff, the court has decided that the payment of compensation that is adequate to the plaintiff is a 200,000 ringgit. Apart from that, the court has also ruled that the defendants have to pay fees for punitive damage and exemplary damage. Both type of compensation must be paid 10,000 ringgit for each type. This is due to the failure of the defendants in complying with the court order to delete the posting and also the comments. As a result, the defendant has been found guilty and we also face court action to put him in a jail for contempt of court. In a total, the court ordered that the defendant should pay cost to the plaintiff of 25,000 ringgit. The punishment imposed by the court in terms of payment as well as imprisonment is a very appropriate to be done to the defendants. First of all, it is justified because the action of the defendants who has made some false and also defamatory submission to the plaintiff on the Facebook account has have given a lot of a negative impact to the plaintiff. This is because the plaintiff is an organization known to general public. When this happens, it will definitely give a bad impression to the plaintiff. At the same time, it will cause the fall of a reputation and a good name of the plaintiff. So the punishments in terms of fines to be imposed by the defendant can be used by the plaintiff to hold a press conference to explain and clear the good name of the plaintiff. The imprisonment sentence set by the court is also highly desirable. This is because the defendant did not follow the court order to delete all the posts and also the comment that made by the defendant to defame the plaintiff. The court order had failed to execute by the defendant, so the jail sentence was to teach a lesson to the defendant as a result of disrespect and contempt of court. That's all for me.
Alright guys, our discussion has become to the end. To sum up, individual or parties who spread false news on social media need to take immediate action so that the act of spreading fake news can be curbed. This is because the issue of spreading fake news has a negative impact on and various parties. Therefore, every social media user need to be careful in releasing and receiving news or information that is available on social media and not easily to believe. Through these studies, we can take lesson from the court case related to the issue of spreading false news and legal action taken against offenders. I guess that's all from my group and I thank you everyone.